Hey everyone, Trev here with The Dark Room. So if you are new to film photography or wanting to get into it, this video is going to give you 3 easy steps on how to do that. So number one, you need a film camera. And if you Google film cameras, not knowing much about a film camera or film in general, it can be pretty intimidating because there are a lot of types of film cameras as well as a variety of film formats. But for this video, just know that at the Darkroom, we develop pretty much all of the film formats, but I'm going to be only talking about 35 millimeter film, which is the most common type of film, the most common type of film we develop as well. And most 35 millimeter film comes with 36 exposures, meaning that you're going to get 36 photos per roll. So for this video, all of the cameras and film that I recommend will be 35 millimeter film. So one of the most common places for someone to start with film photography is a disposable camera. The Fuji QuickSnap is very popular, and so is the Kodak FunSaver, but there are a lot of other ones that we have a great blog about that gives ratings, reviews, recommendations, and photo examples. So if you want to check that out, check out the link in our description. And the reason why these cameras are one of the most common places to start off with when it comes to film is because they're not that intimidating. They're very simple to use. They're relatively cheap and easy to find. And these cameras are pretty simple because they really have no options. You pretty much only have no flash and a flash. If it's bright sunny light, you're going to use no flash. And if it's anything outside of bright sunny light, you're going to turn on the flash, or else you might get underexposed images, which can result in not so great photos. And while these cameras can take some pretty good photos in certain lighting conditions, they have major limitations, and that has a lot to do with the fact that they only have one fixed exposure, and the only option is, like I said, the flash. They have a plastic lens that's fixed focus. You can't change that lens, you can't change the film, and they are known to produce some subpar results compared to cameras that have glass lenses, which I'll be talking about very soon. And the biggest downfall is that they're not reusable. So if you want something reusable, we recommend a camera like this. This is the Long Weekend, and there are many cameras out there like it, like the Kodak M35, the Ilford Sprite, and they all pretty much are almost identical to a disposable camera when it comes to function and also image quality, because they still have a very similar plastic lens. They still have an exposure that's just for daylight, and they have a flash. And the only difference is that they are reusable, which means that you can put different types of film in. And like I said, this camera will produce very similar image quality to a disposable camera. Some people really like the look of a disposable camera, and if that's the case, something like this might be a good option for you. But if you want to up your game and have even better image quality, sharper images, focus control, auto exposure, and auto advance and stuff like that, I recommend a point and shoot film camera. Now, a point and shoot film camera, there are a lot of them out there, and they typically are from the late 80s through the 90s and some in the early 2000s. Most point and shoots are going to have a glass lens, autofocus, auto exposure, and a decent flash on them. And when it comes to budget, one thing to know about point and shoot cameras is that if they have a fixed focal length, like this camera has a fixed 35 millimeter lens, meaning that it cannot zoom, they're typically going to be a little bit more expensive compared to cameras that have a zoom. Both of these cameras have a zoom, but both of these cameras can take really good photos, but these ones are going to be much cheaper. Typically, zoom point and shoots are not that expensive. And when it comes to image quality, if you're not zooming all the way in and you're shooting on the widest focal length, they're typically going to be very good image quality. And like I said, these cameras will have glass lenses, they will have autofocus, auto exposure, as well as a great flash, and these are all going to produce much better images than a disposable camera will. Now, the next two options come down to how much you already know about photography and how much you're willing to learn, because they're typically more involved because they require knowing your exposure a little bit more. They're a little bit more hands-on when it comes to loading film, and they are a rangefinder and an SLR. Now, the two main differences between a rangefinder and an SLR, you see through the lens. When you are looking through the viewfinder, you are seeing through the lens. So if I cover this, I don't see anything. Compared to a rangefinder, you are not seeing through the lens. You are seeing through these viewfinders right here. So you are focusing through this, meaning that if you have a lens cap or any type of obstruction, lens flare, you might not see it. And the pros for these cameras is that they're typically, like I said, smaller, quieter, but they are typically, when they're more affordable, like this Canonet, it's a more affordable rangefinder. They have a lens that cannot be removed. So that's a little bit inconvenient depending on the type of focal length that you would like. And then if you get one of these that has interchangeable lenses, they're typically much more expensive. And when it comes to being a beginner, the focusing system on this can be a bit confusing, which is why I recommend an SLR. Now, there are a couple types of SLRs. The first type is a manual SLR, meaning that it's going to be manually loaded. So you're going to load the film yourself, and then you are going to manually advance the film. This is advancing, and typically you're going to be manually exposing. Some cameras do have auto modes, but a lot of manual cameras like this Nikon FM2 are going to have manual meters. And what you're going to do is there's going to be a meter inside the viewfinder, and it's going to help you find the proper exposure by changing your aperture, which is typically on your lens, and changing your shutter speed, which is typically on this dial right here. And then you're also going to have to select your ISO. Manual cameras like this mean that you have to do a lot more, which is not a problem. It just depends how much you know and how much you're willing to do. If you want to learn about how to work one of these cameras, they can be a lot of fun. The next option is a more automated electronic SLR like this camera, and this is a Canon Rebel T2. There are a lot of options out there. Most of them were made from the 90s and through the early 2000s. Compared to manual SLRs, which are typically older, they stopped being made in the mid-90s and were made prior to the 90s. Now, an electronic, more auto SLR, it's still going to function like a manual one. You still see through the viewfinder, it goes through some mirrors, and then you see through the lens. But the biggest difference is that these cameras will have auto advance, so you put the film in, pull it here, shut it, and it will automatically advance as you take photos. And as you can see, the flash popped up right there because I'm on the auto mode. This camera has an auto mode, and it's also a very small camera for it being an SLR. As you can see, it's really not that much bigger than this point and shoot right here. So the nice thing about a camera like this is that you have interchangeable lenses, which are modern day lenses, and hopefully going to be very good. They're autofocus, aperture priority, shutter priority, but like I said, auto mode, and that means a lot of these will have a flash, so you can actually use it as a point and shoot, but if you want full control, you can also put it in manual. While this camera doesn't look as flashy and as cool as the older ones, this camera will take just as good, if not better, photos than this one will. In fact, I have compared this camera to a Leica NP, and few people could tell the difference. And a Leica MP costs thousands of dollars, and you can buy this camera for $100 or less. You can buy this camera with a kit lens, typically less than $100, and if you want to get this 40mm pancake or a nifty 50, they're going to cost around $100. When it comes to actually getting a camera and buying one, the first thing I recommend is just asking family. You'd be surprised how many of your parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles probably have a camera sitting in a drawer or a closet somewhere, and all you have to do is put a battery in the camera and you're probably good to go. The next thing that I recommend is going to a local camera shop. If you go to a local camera shop, you can hold the camera, you can test it out, you can talk with someone there, they can give you some recommendations, and that's a great way to buy a camera. If you don't have a local camera store or they don't have something that you're looking for, you can always go online and buy online, and you can find some great deals, but there's some things to keep in mind. Now, say you're buying something on eBay, you want to buy from a seller that has a lot of sales with a high rating, they say that the camera has been tested and that there's a return policy. That's very important. But if you're a beginner, I don't really recommend buying from eBay the first time because you might not know what to look for and what to get. And it's good to get a camera that is going to work for you the first time you get it, which is why I recommend maybe going to an online store. There are a lot of places. We'll list them in the caption below. And if you have any recommendations of online camera sellers, drop them in the comments below. Let people know which ones you like and recommend. So part 2 is going to be much quicker, and that is film. Now, like cameras, there are a lot of film options out there. And here at the Darkroom, we try to make that as easy as possible. We have this thing called the Film Index, and if you go to it at thedarkroom.com, you can see color negative, black and white, and E6 slide film. We recommend color negative or black and white as a starting point. And what you can do is you can go through, look at the different ratings based off of price, based off of grain, saturation, contrast, and stuff like that. And then you can find ones that you like because we have ratings, reviews, sample images, and a lot of great information. And the cool thing is the film community can also rate, review, and leave sample images as well. So you can get a good idea of what each film might look like. And we typically link each film at a place to go buy it. So if you find a film that you like, you can click on that link and then actually just go buy it. And we link it to the FPP, which is the Film Photography Project. If you want to check out their website, it's the filmphotographystore.com. And we recommend them because we have found that they have some of the fairest, if not the fairest prices online. So if you're not buying locally, or you find something online and you think it might be expensive, one quick tip, don't buy on Amazon. You're almost always going to pay a lot more. But say you find film online and you're like, that seems expensive. I recommend checking out the filmphotographystore.com and comparing prices because oftentimes they will be much cheaper. Now, when it comes to our recommendations for color is either Kodak Gold or Kodak Ultramax. Now, Gold is a 200 ISO film, and it's great for all types of cameras, all types of scenes, and it's the most affordable of all the currently made color film. Now, the next one is Ultramax. It's a 400 ISO film. It's a little bit more versatile, and it's a great film as well. Both are great options, and we highly recommend them. Now, if you want to do black and white can be really fun. When it comes to black and white, we recommend HP5, which is probably the most affordable professional grade black and white. It is a great film, has great latitude, great versatility. Now, if you want something even cheaper than HP5, we recommend Kentmere 100 and 400, which is probably the cheapest black and white you can find. And at the moment, the Film Photography Project is selling it for $5 a roll, which is amazing. Okay, so number 3, the last step, is often the most intimidating step, but it shouldn't be, because here at the Darkroom, we try to make ordering film development, scanning, and printing as easy as possible. Not only do we have very easy online ordering at thedarkroom.com or with our Darkroom mobile app, but we are the only lab that I know of that has inbound postage paid free shipping. And that's with our printable shipping labels or our physical film mailers, which you can actually just put your film in and send us your film after making an order. And on top of that, they also have a tracking number. So to make your order, all you do is go to thedarkroom.com or download our mobile app, and you'll start off by selecting the film type that you have. Say that you have 35mm film, you will select that, and then you're just going to select what type of scans you want. We have 3 different types of scans. We have standard, enhanced, and super scan. Now, the only difference between them is their resolution. Standard is our smallest. They can print a 5x7, and they're good for social media. Enhanced are bigger, and they're good for cropping and bigger screens and bigger prints like 11x14. And our super scans are massive. They can print very large, and we typically recommend our enhanced scans because they're a nice in between when it comes to resolution and price. Now, you can order prints with processing, or you can order them later on from your uploaded scans. We will scan your film, and then we will upload those scans to your own personal account, which is called the FOS, the File Operating System. You can access this at thedarkroom.com or with the mobile app. It will allow you to edit download, share on social media, order prints, and even archive. I can look back at all of my photos all the way back to 2016. Now, once your scans upload to your account, you'll get an email that we ship back your order, and we'll ship back your film. You'll get envelopes that look like this, and in this envelope, you will get prints if you ordered them with development. We'll send back your negatives, which are very important. We will also provide a scan index print for each roll, which has each scan on that roll. And on top of that, we will send you a fresh film mailer for your next orders. So I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments below, or send us a message on social media, because we'd love to help you and answer your questions there as well. We look forward to seeing all of your film in our lab, as well as your photos on social media. And yeah, until next time.